Welcome back to American Zarathustra. This is Imperium Art, and today we are extremely excited to have on DJ Boxkhar of Modernity Leave. Modernity Leave is his brand, is his Twitter handle, and his community. This is a gentleman who's an amazing DJ within the White Art Collective. So today we're going to learn a lot about the subculture of EDM or other kinds of electronic music that we'll talk about. He's going to set us straight, get us educated on the whole thing. How are you today, Boxcar?
Hey, how you doing? Just want to first thank you for having me on the show. And thanks, Nullus and everybody. American Zarathustra. Appreciate you guys. And I'm doing well.
Beautiful, beautiful. And once again, my gracious co-host, Nullus. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Hello, Donald. Hello, DJ Boxcar, and hello to the audience.
Nice, nice. So I've been enjoying tuning into your show on White Art Collective DLive. You seem to play pretty frequently, and like it's so cool because you get to see your whole setup. You got cameras around your studio. I imagine you spent a lot of money on all that equipment, but it's quite a cool show. I've been into clubbing and electronic music for many, many years, and I've clubbed in different cities around the world. And it's just personally another side of me that I don't really show or talk about in the dissident right. And so I'm so happy to actually have somebody in this music genre that can share more with our audience and kind of get people up to speed with what you specifically do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your music, and where people can find you online?
All right. Well, my name is Boxcar, or DJ Boxcar when I DJ, and I've been producing music probably since electronic music probably since 15, 16 years old. I'm 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, pretty long time, I'd say, half my life. I started the piano when I was a kid, really, really young. Mom forced me to go to piano lessons. I hate it. In the end, I thanked her for it. But I played the trumpet, the horn in middle school and high school, marching band,
Sure.
and and a little bit in college. And
So you studied some music theory as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So
yeah.
So one of the discussions we've been recently having is commemorating the passing of Syntheside, the Australian synthwave artist who is a very dear and close friend. And when I published my interview with him, he gave you a shout out. He's like, you got to check out Boxcar. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with Syntheside.
Well, it's very sad what happened. Very very kind, very nice gentleman. I very wholesome, I'd say. He was there for you when you needed him, and
How did you meet him?
I met him through White Art Collective.
Oh, there you go.
So I met a lot of new friends from White Art Collective.
We always talk about community building, and bingo, there you go. You know, the White Art Collective is doing it, not just among artists, but all our listeners as well. And so it's been such a good time, and we're crossing over into other areas. Like there's other white positive media production groups out there, like Scum and etc. We can talk more about that, but I wanted to.
Sure.
Just see, did you guys just mainly kind of talk shop on music, or what?
Oh no, we talked music a lot. But yeah, we talked more of the music. We talked politics and we, just normal conversation, really. Growing through the months. Probably spoke with them for about, I'd say, 5 months.
Wow. So what was there, was it really more just camaraderie, or was there any kind of an artistic exchange?
Oh yeah, absolutely. An artistic exchange. We've actually sent back and forth like stems and music. We've been thinking about working on a tune and just never got around to it.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that he set some of my show appearances to music, um, and we wanted to do more, but I guess you and I are going to have to do some more. Maybe Nullus and you, we can do some collaborations as well.
I
Yeah,
think
by
that'd
all
be great.
means.
I'm totally open to that, and yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. So I was wondering if you could give the audience a kind of a crash course in electronic music. What kind of, I was just previously using the term EDM, electronic dance music, but I know that there's, of course, many genres. And, let's say in another sense as well, you are a voice for a certain demographic, people your age, people into this subculture of electronic music. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe we can open a window to that world as well.
Sure, sure. Well, I can't by any means give a full like total crash course in a quick period of time. But I can do my best to guide, in layman's terms.
Hmm.
But we can get in depth with it too if you'd like. But electronic dance music, it's just pretty much a term that's come around in the United States and it's in America. People just think of electronic music as EDM, like a lot of
Yes.
people, and a lot of boomers, a lot of older, even some millennials, they think all that stuff is just techno. Everything is just like that's what it is. Like
Yeah.
all these different genres are just techno,
Hmm.
and it's not that I don't mind it. I don't, people get really mad or whatever. It, it's just ignorance. And I don't know. We just gotta set the record straight on it and try to get it back to where it was back in the day.
So would you say it would be better if people would know the names of each genre and then call them out specifically?
Well, not necessarily because these days there's so many subgenres and everybody's put their own spin on things.
Right.
And I mean, yes, you could break it. You can always, chain it back to something, but I don't think that's as much as important as, yeah, it is. It is very important, but uh, just knowing basics, like the difference between like house grooves and tech techno and house and even like just simple things like beats per minute, like
Mhm.
changing and like changes of that is simple. Like you can understand even, people can determine stuff like a lot of stuff at 128 is usually housey, you know.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
techno, well, the kind of techno I listen to, 130, 127, 126. I do dub techno, listen to that stuff for like 119 to down to like 110, 100 even. But I
Mhm.
mean, there's all sorts of, stuff. But I would say people just, I would just say, okay, electronic music. Okay, well, there was electronica, right?
Okay,
So
so would you say that's kind of the umbrella term, electronica?
no, not at all.
Okay.
Um, electronica is pretty much the way I think of electronica is everything with circuits and electronics. There's no, it's all analog,
Like
right?
there's no, is there any organic instruments that are looped or that kind of thing, or is it strictly
Strictly
created
circuits.
digitally? Sorry?
Yeah, strictly electronic, strictly
I
circuit.
see. Okay.
You know, it then it's morphed. It's grown.
Yeah.
I mean, you could start all the way back from if you want to. Everybody starts from craft work, but I mean, you can go earlier. But I mean, craft work pretty much was definitely the pioneer of that kind of
What were
stuff.
some of the sort of the electronic bands that you listened to over the years that kind of formulated your aesthetics?
I would say like let me just pull up my little library real quick so I can get a reference.
I imagine there's probably a lot.
Oh, I mean, I can't even. There's no. Okay, there is one band that's very very influential to me, and I hold dear to me.
Okay.
And that's Front 242.
Okay.
Um, yeah, they're just
Why do you like them so much? What's the deal?
the power, the energy.
Mhm.
the way I feel emotion when I listen to it, the way my body syncs up with it, the way I just feel in tune with it, the way it speaks to me, the way it makes me feel like I want to rage out, the way it makes me feel sad, the way it makes me
Yeah.
feel happy. It's just the power in it.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. I've been around a while, so like I'm
Yeah.
talking like Chemical Brothers
Okay.
and Fatboy Slim and like that kind
Sure.
of stuff.
Moby. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm not like so much a Moby guy, but like
Okay.
yeah, you're getting the Daft Punk was a
DJ
big thing.
Shadow.
Oh God, yeah, that was good stuff.
Okay.
And it's morphed over time.
Right.
I was even around during the Bhangra period, which is like Punjabi EDM. It's a very
Wow.
weird,
You got
like,
to school me on that, brother.
yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah, we'll
Anyway,
talk about that later. Yeah.
that's not our
Cool.
culture per
Sounds
se.
interesting. I mean, I'm very into tribal music and different cultures. So I incorporate a lot of that into my music.
Cool stuff, cool stuff. Yeah. So, there's just so many cool genres, and I feel like there's music that's good for listening to, and then there's music I want to go to clubbing to. I want to dance to.
Well, that's where I
And
was going with this.
okay, go on.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's your show, man.
Well, there's a lot of genres that aren't meant to be danced. Yeah,
Mm.
you can, chill out, ambient, drone. You can talk noise, IDM,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Gabber, happy hardcore,
Okay.
stuff like that. You can. People do. Trust me. Oh, people dance to Gabber and happy hardcore. Well, I've seen it. I've been there.
Okay.
But there's parties, but it's weird. It's like I feel like there's certain things that you're just meant to experience in a different way.
Okay. So, what would you say is kind of the culture of this? Like, if I were to go to, a party where you were DJing at, what kind of people would I meet? What would the values be? What would the general kind of understanding the paradigm be? Like, are they like you? Are they woke to white identity politics? Are they kind of, normies? Are they left wing? What's the general mood in that culture or style of that culture?
Well, I wouldn't go out and DJ.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I absolutely would not. I mean, yeah, sure, I can grab some wedding gigs if I wanted to, but um, that's not what I'm doing right now. That I'm, you know, but I wouldn't because of just like you said, politics.
hmm So
Um,
this opens up. I just have to interrupt you for a sec. This opens up an interesting topic that ties back to Syntheside. So, we know that Syntheside got deplatformed. We know that, it was hard for him to kind of do his music in Australia with his political stripe. And I just kind of have this understanding that he was sort of ostracized, but yet the White Art Collective, he's kind of a hero, and we love his music, and he's really, really top of the line at synth wave and what he does, the genres he did so well. So the topic of politics and electronic music, I think, is something that's not terribly explored. Like, people haven't really cracked that one open so much. So I'm wondering if you can give any insights to that.
well, sure, I can give you my perspective and what I think music and politics go hand in hand. There is no music without politics.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, that's what I believe, and everybody has feelings, and politics.
Not me. No feelings.
Okay, man, yeah. Sometimes I wish I could just shut them off. Sometimes, right?
Just
Uh,
there's a switch
yeah,
on the back of my head. I just
yeah. Just step back and breathe. I gotta read my knuckles and say, "Calm down." Yeah.
nice. That's very
I really gotta read them. I should have got them done backwards so I can.
yeah.
So, but anyways, regarding that, politics and music, it's going to always be in music, and yeah, people don't explore like in depth, I guess. But people could say Front 242 is not political, and they can claim they're not political, and you can get different vibes from everything, and that's the cool part about it. Um, you can get a very fascist vibe from this album. You can get a very communist vibe from this. It's that kind of experience that draws me in, and you can interpret it any way you want.
I see.
But there is a way to interpret it, in my opinion. It's not subjective. I don't know how. That's weird to say. Okay, okay. Let me rephrase myself. Okay, it's subjective in ways.
Mm.
I think some art is just strictly not subjective. That's just my opinion.
What about your music? I mean, is there something about it that is uniquely suited for, say, the White Art Collective?
Yeah, sure. I would say, well, my newer music is definitely made with the white positive soul in mind. Mind, body, and soul. Blood, sweat, and tears. I take hours tuning a kick. You know what I mean?
Tuning a kick drum.
Yeah, just to get that right.
I've seen. I tuned into one of your shows one day where you were actually creating sounds, and obviously it's a very technical thing. I think people who make music would enjoy it a lot, though. But quite fascinating, like the level of, how do I put this? Just the level of detail and control that you have over this audio palette of sounds. It's kind of mind-boggling, maybe a bit overwhelming for some people, but
I wouldn't say that at all.
You don't feel overwhelmed by it.
No. And I'm not like trying to say that in like a arrogant way. I think everybody can make music. Is it going to be good? I don't know. I think, okay, it's I didn't just get here to know all this in just a snap of my fingers. You know what I mean?
Sure, of course. Yeah.
And taking a lot of dedication. I'll tell you this. I don't think I'm a naturally gifted musician. I really don't believe that. I don't know though. I could be wrong. I could be misjudging myself. I don't know. But I think it's learned.
Okay.
I think what I've done is learned.
Yeah. I can echo that just quickly, because all my life I hear people say, "Oh, you're so talented," and then I say, "No, I worked my ass off."
Well, I'm not even trying to put it like that.
I didn't just roll out of bed.
Right. I'm not trying to say like I worked my ass
or
off
anything.
or anything. It's just like it comes with time. You know what I mean? And
there you
the
go.
amount of effort you put into it. Like, what do they say?
Sure.
It takes like some many thousand hours to master something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know how true that is. I'm sure it is true. I mean, the amount of repetitions you do, I mean, if you turn a knob the same, you'll be able to massage that knob perfect. I mean,
so what, in terms of your music, what kind of guidelines do you use to craft it? What are the structures and the aesthetics that you have in mind when you're making music?
Well, I don't go into a fresh project without like, I have to feel something and then go right to my computer. Like say, okay, as a job in real life, I'm a chef. Okay, so right now I don't work. COVID kind of screwed a lot of things up.
Right.
But it's okay. I'm fine. I got savings. Luckily, a lot of people, they don't have savings.
I gotcha. It's you probably have a lot more time for music, though.
Well, that's the thing. I do. I have a lot more time for self-reflection, and that helps too with my music.
Sure.
So I think I've been able to find myself more this year. This whole year has been a very, I've seen a reflection of myself that I haven't seen before.
Hmm.
and
So would you
expressing
say
it by
that
music.
you think in
Sorry.
some sense that music is like a self-exploratory path, or I don't know what to call it. Like there's something about music
Well,
that teaches you about yourself. Is that what you're saying?
exactly. Exactly that. It's man and machine. Okay, you have to form a bond.
Mm.
There's you. You got to know your machine. You gotta get to know it. You gotta treat it right. Um, I know I sound
No, I'm just I
yeah.
watch your show, so like knowing your show and hearing what you're saying completely match right up. You treat your equipment with a tremendous amount of love,
Well,
and
sometimes.
oh
I
well.
I I- I'll throw it some. I'll throw a synth sometimes. I'll get mad at it. Oh, trust me.
Well,
We have
in a
rough
sense, that
relationships.
that still backs up what I'm saying, though, like the passion that you bring to it. There's a whole feeling of like, welcome to my living room. Like I feel like I'm right there with you as I'm watching your show. And you provide really nice visuals. The studio is really gorgeous, and there's always just cool people in the chat as well. It just seems like such a cool scene, and I feel like I want to advertise it to let people get in on it. But I think when I come to your show, it's totally different than say me going to the club. The vibe is much more chill. It's way more atmospheric, and there's just so much more to kind of explore. And there's a lot of surprises, I guess I would say.
I want the crowd to be able to determine their emotions. I want them to be able to take charge. And in a sense, the chat does that.
Hmm.
It's not the same experience without being there with the chat.
Absolutely. That's
Um,
interesting. You're basically saying that the chat and the platform are integral to your art form, to your music. Am I right?
exactly. I guess you could say, yeah.
Mm. That's quite interesting because we don't think of this, maybe we don't normally think of the audience as being part of the art per se, right? Or the museum being part of the art, but it very much is, you know. In
We
in
give
your
me.
case, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to convey a little bit to the audience my experience with your music, but I want to get more into the technique of how do you write and what are you shooting for? What are your aesthetic standards and that kind of thing?
Right on. Okay. Well, first off, yeah, I want to give a shout out to my good friend Exocet from
Mhm.
Denmark.
Awesome.
Me and him chat a lot, and we actually had this discussion um, about how he's in the future. So it's kind of like it's hard for him sometimes to tune in. He has a full-time
Uh,
job, and you
yeah.
know, live sometimes when especially for Dance Squared. Sometimes he misses it, but usually he stays up, and I really respect him for that. And big up, dude. But
Oh,
uh,
shout
yeah,
out.
yes, he's relayed to me that it's not the same, watching the VOD back because there's no chat,
Yeah, you
and
can't be there. Yeah.
it's just not the same. And it and yeah, I guess that goes along. It's yeah, and I've always just thought, the chat is it's why I do this. It's the community.
Mm.
It's the company. I enjoy the company.
There-
I enjoy influencing, hopefully in a positive light, influencing people to do things that they love.
mhm, mhm. Now,
Uh,
your music does span a really broad gamut of emotions, though. I would say that there's some kind of there's some sad moments, there's some dark moments, there's some cool vibes and happy times, you know. So it's a whole range of kind of I guess an emotional spectrum that you express. And maybe you could tell me a little bit more about what happens in the chat. Are you, in a sense, looking to connect with people? Are they responding to you? What are you generally talking about in the chat?
it all depends. It depends where they want to go with it. Um, I let the chat guide me.
Hmm.
Um, I'll start out with playing something, and then I'll end up playing some totally different. Um, and not even just music wise. They guide me, you know, emotion wise. Sometimes I guide them emotion wise. Who knows? I think it's a mutual, you know, handshake. Um, I don't know. I think in the chat we talk about or all sorts of stuff. We talk about updates in the news. We talk
Yes.
about, you know, just random BS. You know, we
Just
have
like a
fun.
clubhouse,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, it is. I want it to be like that. I want it to be welcoming and you know, and like you said, I'm glad you get that homey sense, and that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, without being too black pilling. You know what I mean? I want to be, you know, and I know we got tough times ahead of us and stuff, and we're gonna get through them. So all I could do right now is keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully this can inspire people to do what they want to do and do good things, or better themselves, or even make music, or even not even make music, do whatever they want to do. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Nullus, have you any thoughts on the conversation?
Oh, there's quite a bit that the first thing I would say is that Boxcar, you shouldn't sell yourself short. So your you know, the feedback, the mood, the general sensation that you're providing in your weekly shows is phenomenal, and the feedback's always positive from everyone. So as far as your talent is concerned, I mean, it's just unquestionable in my view. So I think that you should definitely not sell yourself short, and really embrace this power that you're giving everyone through the music that you're playing. Um, you know, this whole entire genre is really not necessarily like I back in the day, yeah, I mean, I didn't really listen to techno, but I'd go to a club and, you know, they'd have techno music or they'd have some kind of electronic music. I even went to a Kraftwerk concert, so, you know, just
Oh man, you
um,
Oh,
lucky. Let's go.
yeah. So I mean, you know, I like it a lot, but it wasn't really something like I don't know all the different variations, all the various subgenres. I'm not familiar with all the details. I know that there's techno, there's trance, there's house, there's electronic music, then there's like some gothic trance and all this different things that you
Geno
can.
reactor.
No, no, you see, that's the problem. Like, I don't know all the bands or what have you, or all the DJs or the musicians involved. But what I do know, and this is something that I find fascinating, at least when I went to a club or, you know, like a dance club, or like they would have like these open concerts where they would have these DJs and then everyone would be there, that there's a very strong sense of like it almost like the rhythm is bringing everyone together in a way that's very unique to this genre.
yeah.
um, and it's a very powerful tool. Now, you know, the politics aspect of it, I think that a lot of people that are involved with this probably are either apolitical or maybe left-leaning for the most part, and I find that fascinating in a way because the music itself, if you think about it, is really very tribal, very traditional in a sense, and it's also and it has, even though it's with electronics and it's with, you know, modern equipment, the vibe that it brings out is something primal in a sense. So I find it very fascinating that a lot of people that are into this kind of music are more left leaning, and as opposed to, and again, maybe I'm missing something, so maybe I'm not entirely correct with that assumption. But I do feel that something like this kind of music can evoke a certain emotion in our people, you know, to bring, because it is a uniquely European and white kind of musical genre. I mean, it came out of it's ours. It's something that we created, and so I think
You could
that
say that in a way. We did. We absolutely did. And
yes.
people like
So
to
it's
say that, well,
mhm.
we can get into this cultures and different people who created what, but yeah. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, 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 no. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? So here we are with this interesting genre that can really bring out certain primal sense of I guess community would be maybe a word.
Yeah,
But
for
it
sure.
and so it can, and it's very powerful. Like when
Yeah.
you would see, 200 people just standing there and everyone raising their hands to the beat. I mean, that has a very powerful message in and of itself.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm very fascinated by this. I'm not as familiar with it as maybe the two of you are, but I do find like these aspects of it very fascinating.
Let me jump in real quick here because I think this brings context to Imperium Art and the project of this show. So, as a side note, we want to take it all back. We want to take it all back, meaning any and all culture. We want our own version of it. We want our own version of electronic dance music. We want to be able
Except
to
hip hop.
Yeah, well, we were. I was about to
What
get
do
to
you mean,
that.
bro? I mean, it's one of my
Let
favorites.
me finish my point. So, it, anything not explicitly anti-white, which tends to be rap, hip hop, and those kind trap, whatever those kinds of genres, which are extremely
Right.
anti-white culture. So again, a genre and what's being said in and on that genre, that's a kind of a technical issue. But my point I'm making is that the power of community, the tribal power of dance and community through music, is something we need. And so, artists like yourself, Boxcar, could be doing that. And you have your way of doing it. It's much more, I would say, more, I want to call it informal. It's more of a house party rather than a dance club. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
you,
That's the environment I'm going for.
yeah, and you're doing it. Although the music can be extremely tribal and very powerful in that dance club way as well. I would also say that like a lot of dance music is obviously very sexual. There's a really, really powerful sexual undertone to this music.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we all know about, dance clubs and the clubbing and after hours scene, what have you. But
Not even that.
it's,
Just the music
say
in
again?
general. Not even that, but just the music in general. It
That's
can
a good
make you
point.
feel different
No,
ways,
that's
you know?
I guess where I'm going with this is just that, that could maybe give you some direction in terms of what we're all trying to strive towards is that kind of Imperium art, that kind of art that connects us all, that drives us forward, that
Right.
has our message in it in some way. And it doesn't have to, like in your case, there's like you don't sing or write lyrics, etc. You could easily, I'm sure you've put words from, say, clippings from speeches or things in your music, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I totally agree with you. We definitely need to make our own now, make our own path, make our own way. We've been totally taken over. I mean, at least the music industry in Hollywood, a lot of things have been taken over. In my opinion, not in a good way, and not in a progressive way. That's progressive in a good way. Um, and I don't think I think we need to roll back a little bit. Um, you know, I would be cool without I would be cool without computers. I think we need to roll back a little. Let's not get down this rabbit hole, but I mean, the whole modernity leave thing is, leave modern society behind, and I've just pretty much had it with modern society,
Yeah.
and I think well, for the White Art Collective and from Imperium Art perspective, I would say community building would be most essential. And Modernity Leave is just a kind of like a record label. We're planning on doing some physical cassette tapes and stuff. Gonna be some
Nice, very
tapes.
nice. Yeah.
So it's gonna be more
So,
art and collector stuff, but just more of a community thing. But yeah, for that kind of thing, and including Modernity Leave and Scum and all these other, it's great. I see these
yeah.
organizations popping up. Some of them, little you got to watch out for, but it is what it is. But
I
yeah,
like I like the theme that you have there, like the idea of leave modernity and go where? Come into your house party
I mean,
and chill
yeah,
with family.
exactly. Come here, come chill.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Let's
So
evoke some emotions.
Be around like-minded people, not in a space where you feel unsafe, politically or culturally. So yeah, this is the thing I keep trying to want to get into. So what genre of music do you play? What would you call your music, your style?
Well, I don't have one. I have a tone, I guess you could, or not a tone, like
Yeah.
a
So you don't fit
a
into a
tone.
genre category per se.
Well, I make multiple genres. I
Okay.
I make songs in multiple genres.
Okay.
I've practiced. I've learned to practice sitting down and like for months, trying to do the best I can to create the best I can out of what this genre, right? And
Mhm.
what I want this, I feel this should be, and
Mhm.
then another one. I just go do that, and then I'll repeat and repeat and rinse and repeat, and just to practice going back and forth. Because I think if you stick to one genre, like I've done that before for years. Like I used to just play 140, deep 70, and deep minimal stuff, and back in the like Scream, Cookie, Mala, Benga, Caspa, old dubstep days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and Distance is a big inspiration. Chestplate and all that stuff. But yeah, it's metalheads. And all, but I mean, it's gone so. But anyways, I try to bring. I want it to be like you said, a nice, safe environment for people that feel welcoming and feel welcome. I want that. I want it to be welcoming. And like you said, politics. Regarding politics, I I don't care about politics anymore. I
Mm.
I'm done with politics. Of course we need structure and stuff like that, but we're gonna I have my own perfect world in my head.
Mhm.
Um, that that maybe I have some ideas I can throw out, you
Mhm.
know, every now and then, but I think there's other people that are contributing that more for that than
I get your point. Yeah, like say
I'm.
Jurius, for example, his music's very political.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I don't have a total political, undertone to my music. I don't think.
okay.
I don't
Let
try
me.
to, but I do sometimes. At
Mhm.
times.
I'm sure. I mean, you're like any artist. You grow and you go through phases, and who knows, someday that might interest you. You might want to get into that. But I wanted to ask you what drew you. How did you find out about and what brought you into the White Art Collective?
Okay, that's a rabbit hole in itself. I'm sure it's the same story as a lot of people. I uh, was ousted from a community of people
Mhm.
that I've built, I've helped build, I've I wouldn't say built, well, the community of my record label I built, and
Mhm.
you know, but it contributed to this subgenre of music and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and then had a radio show going for a couple years every week on a nice, really well-known radio station in London, and
Really.
I got that cut off. One day I got an email saying uh, my I was I had been had a couple complaint emails sent from people saying that I guess they had, I don't know, I guess they I don't know what there, it's like a campaign or some kind of thing. I don't know. Okay, so um they clipped one of my live streams. I guess I said something like I forget what it was. I was talking about gay marriage and
Yeah.
how I don't support it,
Yeah.
and and they
They destroyed you.
cut me off. Right,
That's yeah.
and that's when I knew things were not so good.
Right. It's
Something was
it's
really wrong.
it's
Well, I had feelings. I knew for a long time. It's like you play. It's like you play. All is fair in love and war. It's like you put on a face if you want to succeed. It's really sad, and
mm-hmm.
I just got totally sick of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I
That's
was being fake. It's just I wasn't sharing my full self.
I get it. Yeah, and you want to be in your own world where you can do that. And then how did you hear about the White Art Collective?
Okay,
You
so
just kind
uh,
of
I'll
accidentally or
I'll admit I'm 30 years old. I'm not a boomer, but I I did use Facebook for a long time. Okay, so
I forgive
I
you.
just got yeah, Zuck. He had me in there for a while, but I was giving him my data for years. All right, let's see. I just got off Facebook around election time, before election, um, and I got off there, and for a while I just was totally done with music and done with motivation and creating art.
Hmm.
And I went
Oh,
through a really dark phase,
that's terrible.
very dark phase. But it was in a way it was good to go through because it really made me. I realized a lot of things. It wasn't necessarily dark and like I was still functioning and
Right.
functional member of society and doing things. But it's just in my mind and stuff. I couldn't come to my computer and push a key in Ableton. I couldn't. There was no drive.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and yeah, I googled some like stuff like white artists, and I would find all this Nazi stuff, and I didn't want to get into that, so
Yeah.
I uh I don't know, I decided to make a Twitter, and I made a Twitter around last year, around I don't know, maybe what was it, Halloween maybe. And
Mm.
I don't remember. I was banned a few times. I broke the rules. I didn't know really about Twitter and the rules, whatever. So, yeah. So I've changed names a few times. I was Hammer Snipe on Twitter at first, and that was when I first got a song played by Jeff on the SNL show.
Ah,
And
neat. Cool.
but yeah. Anyways, I got on Twitter and I was just happening to search like white and then music. I was searching tags
Hmm.
and just to give it a try. Maybe there's
Yeah.
and sure enough, White Art Collective, and I
We-
clicked on it and I clicked on some of the episodes and stuff, and I was intrigued, and so I tuned in for a couple weeks and I decided to send Jeff a message, and
Nice.
he was like, "Yeah, send some music," and so I did, and sure enough, I guess him and Mama liked one of the tunes, and um, I don't forget which one it was. It was Nerve. Was it Boxcar Nerve?
By
But
the way, we're going to have your link at the bottom of the show, so we certainly recommend everybody to go check out your. Is it
the,
SoundCloud or Bandcamp?
no, I wouldn't do SoundCloud. I don't know. I'm kind of done with that platform. But I would Bandcamp too. I'm done with all these. It's
Oh
time to
wow.
just host your own stuff. But yeah, Bandcamp would be the best place. It'd be modernityleave.bandcamp.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
where all my music is hosted right now. We don't have any artists on there right now. That but we're waiting to do the first release we're gonna do is a compilation, so it's gonna be a bunch of artists.
So, are you talking about Modernity Leave as a
Yeah,
record label?
correct.
Oh, okay. And you don't have a site up yet, or what's the plans with that?
Yeah, no site. Just it's kind of we're trying to keep it like underground, low key right now. Just a Bandcamp and I
Mhm.
guess the Twitter right now. And the Twitter, I just repost some White Art Collective stuff and some stuff I like, and I repost some Boxcar live streams. People kind of I talk to people on maternity leave. They know me as Boxcar, you know what I mean? But me and another fellow run maternity leave. So, uh, um, and his name's Exocet. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, from
It's,
Denmark. Yeah. So we are in the process of getting this all together.
so, are you looking for other artists to join you as well? I mean, if
Yes.
somebody wanted to join Modernity Leave, what would their resume have to look like?
Well, that's still what we're devising.
Mhm.
We're we're still in that phase. We're not in that phase. We kind of know what we want, but we want to see what people send us, and then
Is
go
it
from.
is it more based on music, or does it have is it stuff that would go well on the White Art Collective? Like, does
Yeah,
it
yeah,
belong in
exactly.
that? It would
Well, the
go.
kind of it's not. It's going to be electronic music. It's
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. More electro, techno, and then
Nice.
some other stuff, some ambient, I'm sure some. We'll see what people send, and we'll choose from there. It all depends
Okay.
on the artist too.
Well, I might actually join you. I haven't told really anybody. I
You're
did
welcome
show
to.
Nullus. There's a DJ that reached out to me on Twitter, and we put together a rough sample song, and it's a kind of pop EDM, I would say. And I'm
Okay.
so, but I've always wanted to do that kind of music. I just don't know the technology, and he does.
When you
Uh,
mean like EDM, like what do you mean pop EDM?
I
Uh,
would say I mean, how do I put it? It's the kind of dance music. It's definitely dance club music. It's
Probably
not
like electro
ambient.
house-ish, like.
It's very house-ish, yeah. It has a strong house beat. It's got the classic kind of song structure with the build up and the drop, and that kind of stuff. Generally, as such, I think musically, it's not dark and weird and fashy or any of that kind of stuff. It's I think something that somebody could hear on the radio. And that's kind of part of my strategy with this, is to kind of normalize our ideas to put them in such a delicious candy wrapper that,
Yeah, well,
people
that's what Modernity Leave is about. We want to do all sorts of electronic music, not just techno and electro. We want to have a focus, of course, on like a sound, but the collective, like I mean the compilations and stuff. Like we want to, like you said, all nice in a nice bundle. You can hear this and then hear that if you want. Hear a dark tune, hear a happy tune, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, and yeah, we want only European, of descent artists, and
Mhm.
and stuff like that, pretty much. Kind of like a
So
White Art Collective, but electronic music.
very, very hot. I love that idea. Nullist, do you see any connections between Modernity Leave and White Art Collective, and what are your thoughts on where the conversation's going?
Well, there's a lot that's been discussed, and a lot of it I really I honestly don't have much knowledge of. So I'm just letting a lot of this, I'm just
Yeah,
uh,
soaking it up.
letting this all soak in for now.
Okay.
But what I would say to the White Art Collective and the Modernity Leave, I mean, I would find that very fascinating to see how you could dial back the modernity and still have that electronic music. That to me is something that I'm curious about. So would you go back to like okay, I'm gonna reference Kraftwerk again, but would you go back to something analog like that? Is that what you're thinking about?
Well, yes and no. Um, Both computer and machine and external instruments and everything. It's not modernity. Okay, isn't in itself bad, right? In my opinion. Okay. Um, okay, this is going to be weird to talk. It's going to be hard for me to phrase this. I didn't write this down or any comments about this, but yeah, modernity isn't in itself bad. Change in it isn't bad in itself. But I want to the vibe I want to portray is yes, an older school vibe. Uh, dial it back years. Dial it back. I don't 70s, if you want. Uh, any 70s. My favorite times of electronic music, probably 80s, but
Hmm.
that's just me. Yeah, I mean, I want that older school vibe, and to all the modern stuff you hear on the radio, like that kind of stuff. We can do away with that kind of garbage.
You
So
know,
Um,
this
I'm
this is I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is
no,
a
go for it.
really important point, I think, that we should discuss, which is when we talk about modernity, we're not really talking about technological development per se.
Correct.
Technological development can be a blessing and a curse. It's just like anything else. Eons ago, man invented fire. I mean, they could burn down a house with fire. You could cook meat with fire, or you could warm your cave with a fire, right? So the technological development in and of itself is a tool. The question is what we as a culture, as a civilization, and a society do with this technology, and how we implement it is really an important aspect of understanding who we are and what values our civilization represents. And so, of course, we can go back to Donald, our discussion with Tyler, when we were talking about the how technology influences art and how reproduction becomes, this whole bane to the artistic experience, right? So we can talk about that, but I think instead of talking about that, what we should talk about here is how, as a part of the Imperium art project, we want to have a connection to the past, but we also need to have a view toward the future. And having a view toward the future has to include some level of technological sophistication. And that sophistication has to be contextualized in an underlying value system, something that gives that technological development and advancement a support to stay on track and not go in some absurd direction. I hope I'm making
really
sense
hard to
here.
control that. You know what I mean?
Well, what do you think about that? Yeah, okay.
I don't. I agree to some extent. I think technology is more of a curse.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we have it already. Okay, and there's nothing going to stop, people from losing their jobs and the future, or we can just predict. You could just see. I mean, there's been people who've predicted this stuff exactly from years ago, but it's just it's scary to me. It's scary. It is a scary thing, and nothing really scares me more than technology. But it in once you master something, you feel like you have power over it, and that's what it's about to me. And bringing the technology that I want to master is kind of not modern technology. I want to bring it back and refamiliarize myself with stuff that I wasn't born, for.
Right.
So
that makes a lot of sense. I'm Donald. I'm sorry. Go.
No. Yeah, I think I have a good way to cap this off in some way, or to pull it all together. So my next question is directly related to this, in that I was going to ask, how electronica, we all know that electronica is associated with clubbing and drug culture, and how can we make it approachable for people on the right wing, on the white positive sphere, that does not have that culture that you hate, that kind of the modern techno culture that's very, very degenerate, and we all know about it. It's this pop music culture. So
I guess why I can't come out DJ. It's not even that's that too, but it's just I don't want to surround myself with those people. It's disgusting to me now what it's turned into, and
I mean, I think to me that's the modernity that you hate. That's the impression that I'm getting.
Yeah, exactly.
So it
not
sounds
just
to
drugs,
me,
but just not even just degeneracy. I mean, yeah, there's room for joking around. Don't get me wrong. I'm a crazy guy sometimes.
well, there's a certain kind of I don't know, a sort of a materialism or a hedonism to that culture that's very kind of fake, I guess, and we don't want to be associated with that kind of hookup culture and all that. That's not conservative in nature. So
that's not what Modernity Leave is about.
That's so you right. That's precisely my point. So I guess where I'm going with this is that it seems like you could use your community on your show to bring this topic up and bring more of what Nullus is talking about into Modernity Leave, which is having a system of values, having getting the discussion going about, well, how can we make this a white positive music? How can we take back electronic music and make
Well,
it ours and
right.
move forward in the future? And there's no, you can plan it and think about it, but you have to do it and then figure it out as you go.
Well, yeah,
So,
that too. Yeah, of
yeah.
course. Yeah. I mean, and I think about things. I can't stop thinking. Okay, and it sometimes
Welcome
I
to my
end up in
world.
bad parts of my brain. Okay, I think. But yeah, sometimes I end up in great parts. But let's just put it this way. I think the culture that you're talking about and stuff. For my idea for Modernity Leave was to start out slow. Okay,
Hmm.
start out, slight propaganda and
Okay.
stuff like that. Not propaganda and like a people think of propaganda as, anyways. Not trying to force people into things, but the music has, an undertone of things not totally political, but without modernity in mind. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
and then we move towards that discussion, and then we move towards that. But it's because we don't do that right now. Is simply because it's really sad to say, but because of what's going on the internet right now and all of the platforms.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
I've had this happen to me personally, and income wise, cut
Hmm.
off just like that, just for saying I don't,
Well, like you
support gay
said, we have
marriage.
to make our own
Um,
platforms, and you're
and
doing that through
yeah,
the White
yeah,
Collective. So it
I
gives you
get that. Yeah, yeah.
it gives you power to draw people into your sphere, kind of like what we're doing with Imperium Art, and then start your conversations and kind of bring that into your art. And then of course that acts as an example to other musicians and creators who want to come in and be a part of your electronica world.
Well,
So I think that
yeah, I think that's exactly the direction we wanted to go down.
very good.
And
Now let's what are your thoughts on that?
oh,
I
sorry.
just wanted, no, no, I just wanted to add the fascinating thing. A thought came to my mind. What you said, Boxcar, is mastering the technology. And I think that's really what this is all about. So technology, like I think, and I still believe that's the case, is a tool. It's something that we have to master. We cannot allow the technology to master us.
Oh,
Perfect.
And so I think and this does tie into Imperium Art beautifully in the sense that what we're saying is that we want to become individuals and a community who are masters of their own destiny. And by being master, we're mastering ourselves, we're mastering our civilization, we're mastering our culture, and we're mastering our technology. We're not just sitting back in a passive way to let technology rule over us. We want to take technology and we want to control it, and we want to use it as a tool to our benefit, and we want to be a proactive approach to it. I think that this is something that is an important discussion when it comes to bridging that gap between the past and the future.
Well, this isn't my original idea. I don't know where this idea really came from, but I remember Front 242. Probably years ago, I saw one of the members. This was way back. I don't even remember who it was. Talking about their equipment being their slave, and we do refer to that in CV and stuff as master and slave. One's a master and one is a slave. But he was talking to like literal slave, like y- you're the you have to master this thing like it's your slave.
oh, you're talking
Yeah,
about the equipment and the music.
correct, correct.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. In that case,
I
you
mean,
can,
I
I know
was
it sounds
thinking of
bad. I know it sounds bad
technology.
talking about slavery or whatever. You guys can whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But no, it's a profound statement, right? Because they're saying that they have absolute control over the technology, And that's an important point, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I
Yeah.
just want to add quickly, though, is that I feel that one really has not really come into their own as a mature artist until they find what it is they want to say, because all mediums are just platforms to say something. So, and I mean, you don't have to verbally say something. It could be like if you listen to folk dissidence music with cello, it's it speaks very loudly
You
of
got that
this
right.
European like pride. It's powerful, it's so beautiful. And so, that's what you kind of have. I feel like that's what we all have to do, is find what is it that I need to say? Who am I? What is my voice in the in the landscape of this White Art Collective and all the content, political situations we're coping with. So that, I think, is probably the focus. The sooner that gets laid out for you, I think Modernity Leave will come into focus and draw more people to it as
Right.
well. When a certain message is a little clearer, those things take time. I mean, I'm not, we're artists. We understand, we struggle with those things. That's kind of what being an artist is,
That's for
you know.
sure.
But since I'm talking about art, why don't we switch the conversation over and talk about Imperium art? What were your thoughts of Nullus's essay or any of our shows? I know that you tune in. You're a big supporter of our show.
Oh
What,
yeah,
what
I absolutely love it. I will admit I haven't seen every episode.
I'll forget.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm planning on checking them all out. I mean, everybody I've seen, it's just been just amazing. The camaraderie, the environment that you guys bring, it's beautiful, and it's something that I'm just so thankful to be a part of.
Mhm.
I view it as, um, I would say, a nice community building. It's very welcoming to our kind, and
Mhm.
and it's also informative, very informative.
Mhm.
It's very inspiring. There's a lot of things you could say about Imperium art.
Are there any particular shows that stand out for you?
Um, Saint Friendships,
Oh,
for sure.
a lot of people have commented on that. That I would recommend the listeners to, after this show, to go and check out that show. It's the man is angelic for starters,
There's a
and
lot. I mean, everyone's good. I'm not gonna just start naming names.
oh,
Um,
sure, yeah.
but yeah, they're all good. I have my favorites, and it is what it is. But yeah, they're all great. There's not. I don't think there's a one I haven't liked. Like, I like them all. I just prefer some over others, and that's
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I guess that's
So,
everybody.
do you think that electronic music, could play a big role in bringing together the entire global white diaspora?
Well, yeah, I do, because electronic music is so popular. Like,
Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
so. We're you gotta you could mind you we're always years behind of Europe. Okay, in terms of
Mm,
electronic music,
yeah,
we've
yeah.
always been years behind. Okay, so um, w- I would say that the music in America is is shite. We need to change it.
Okay. Well, I think if
Electronic music wise,
you're in the
and
place to do that, then, like, you
um,
position perfectly. You show us what it should be. Make the music that is the standard, especially for Imperium art. Make the music and the scene, create that scene, and go forth. And bring
yeah,
us
this
to.
is just my opinion, but and I think a lot of people do share this opinion, and I know that I do. They do, because I speak with a lot of them, and a lot of them would like to see the same thing you're talking about.
Hmm.
Um, and I I don't
It
know if
all
I'm the one to
starts.
make it happen. I maybe I am, and
Well, it all starts with an idea. I mean, it's happening in the sense, I would say, like, Jurius is the first person I ever noticed who was doing profoundly powerful
Oh yeah,
white pride music, you know, in the Fash Wave and etc.
Cyber Nazi. Gotta give credit out.
Just deeply moving and inspiring, blew my mind, and you know, it just catapulted me forward. And I think anybody who listens to it feels that it's very, very powerful. So that's a model for us. And I guess the idea of what Imperium art is, though, is that we're all on the same page contextually. We'll all have different voices, but we're all plugged into the same root. We all have the same kind of artistic DNA that we're aware of and fighting against white replacement, white genocide.
Well, I think those guys get weeded out quickly. The ones that don't have that art and DNA that we share, and they weed themselves out quick, I think. But yeah, in terms of like you're talking about inspiring, like yeah, I don't. You know, I've been inspired by a lot of different people, and just like I do know a lot of things, and I like you said, you were watching some of my streams where I do actually make music. I haven't really gotten around to doing that much, and I've been thinking about, you know, it's kind of boring just me sitting there making a whole tune. So I'm thinking about just making some tutorials, putting some tutorials, simple
Nice.
tutorials together for people,
Very,
and
very. It's a
so
good
like
service. Yeah.
yeah, I think that could be a first good step in the direction of that. Um,
Cool.
but for people just wanting to experiment with it, and you know, even you know, like some of you guys that don't, you know, Jack White, I'd love to hear a techno Jack White tune.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I mean,
That's
give me a
cool.
break. I mean, forget
Oh,
about
that'd
it.
be so cool. Jack White and Fornull have a song. I guess Fornull like added on to a Jack White song with some
Oh yeah, I
cool
know
heavy
it.
guitar.
Oh yeah.
You probably know the one I'm talking about. It's super cool. But so that actually leads me to my last question. What guidelines would you give electronic artists on writing electronic music that would be considered Imperium art?
Well, I would say you would have to have definitely white pride and white soul in mind, body, and soul for sure. You have to be totally connected in with when you go and write that music. I don't know. Everybody goes about it a different way,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and that's fine. You know, I start with my kick drum first.
Hmm.
You know, people start with their whatever. You know, not even that. People start with a cup of coffee. People start with whatever. You know, people
Yeah,
start with taking a poop. I don't know, but you know, all I'm saying is, you know, you gotta be on the same page, like you're saying. Like I guess we would have to define, like, you know, like you know, make a more tuned in definition. But it's not really that. But it's not really that. That not really that complicated in my mind.
yeah.
Um,
I think being in the community is definitely a start, you know,
yeah,
because
yeah,
like being, who are you speaking to? Who is your audience? Once you're connected with the White Art Collective or the Scum community or anybody else on Wash Show, great DJ, you
oh
know,
for
then you
sure,
plug, yeah,
great DJ.
right, phenomenal. So you're plugged into the people in the community. Again, we're, you know, out in real life, we don't have clubs, we don't have places to go. We have the internet for now, you know.
Right, right.
So like that's where we're gonna meet our like-minded folk. So
Yeah,
just add, yeah.
that's a great point to add. And yeah, I mean, that's all I can try to do is provide a great environment for like-minded individuals that are,
Mm,
you know, we might not be on the same page politically. All, you know, everybody differs politically, but
it's
yes,
fine.
right-leaning, right-wing, conservative for sure.
Yeah.
Conservative. I mean,
What
I've
do you
had it.
think, Nullis? Do you have any input on that concept?
Well, I think that this ties in perfectly with the concept of Imperium art, where we are trying to create this, one could say, virtual Imperium, virtual empire, where we congregate, where we learn from each other, where we can express ourselves in a way where we feel safe, but you know, where we can also create methods and artistry that defends us against this onslaught that we're getting from the outside. But at the same time, we also need to embrace who we are in the sense that we have to move forward. So I think that the way, you know, this conversation is going, I think it perfectly fits into that whole concept.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And I apologize to the listeners if some of my thoughts seem jumbled up or don't come across correct. I,
Oh, you're
uh,
doing fine. You're
I
doing
think
fine.
I think a lot, and sometimes it comes out all like, Bow-Jide and stuff like that.
It's,
But,
you know, that's its own skill, is being able to put your thoughts out in words. But I mean, the thing
I'm
is,
pretty introverted, to be honest, when it comes to this kind of stuff. But yeah,
right, and your
that's why it's
show,
weird for me to be a DJ. Like it's just like it doesn't make sense.
that's what's fascinating about your show, though, is there's an intimacy to it, and it actually is
Yeah.
like a home for introverts. And I would say that, you know, there might be a lot of introverts in the white positive community, so it's
Sure,
just very
a lot of
welcoming.
artists
Just,
are, yeah, and a
yeah.
lot of white positive people, I'm sure. Right? Yeah.
Hmm. So one thing I want to say to the listeners, all this talk has no context unless you listen to Boxcar's music. So I urge you to click the links below, check out his music. There's a really amazing, again, we don't like to use the word diversity in this sphere, but is an
Oh, you
amazing
can, yeah,
variety. That's
sure.
a variety is the word I'm looking.
Variety. I like that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there.
Right, there we
Okay,
go.
we're
Let's get rid of
going
diversity,
forward.
whatever. Okay.
Send the memo out, okay? Everyone
Yeah,
use the word variety now. Um,
Yeah.
send
but anyway, please check it out, and absolutely please join us on Boxcar's show, Modernity Leave. When is your show on White Art Collective DLive?
It's every Saturday night at 10 o'clock p.m. and that it's SNL shows at 9. You can't watch Dance Square without watching SNL. I
Oh
mean,
my
if
God,
you, if you don't have
yes.
time, I mean, yeah, of course, but
It's a thing, yeah. It's like two TV shows, that late night TV, the shows that are back to back. You gotta, you know,
yeah.
it's a thing. You settle down, it's the end of the day, and, you know, grab yourself a drink.
Sometimes the mood in the Dance Square is different. Sometimes, I try to. I don't know. You'll see. Just tune in sometimes. Maybe you like it. But I just want to say to Nullus about the selling myself short thing. I appreciate that a lot, and I'm gonna think about that.
Oh,
Beautiful.
you should.
Well, it's fantastic having you on the show,
And I
Boxcar.
thank
And
you so much for having me, guys. And
oh, it's
I
such a
just want to
pleasure.
give a shout out to Synthesized Music.
Yeah.
Synthesized Music is inspiring, awe-inspiring. And if you don't know the guy, there's no, just listen to his music and you'll know him.
Mhm.
Um, eh, eh, yeah, man. I have a collection of all of his music that he put out for free. That I don't know if it's gotten wiped or anything. I've just backed stuff up. So if anybody needs that, you can just hit me at
Sweet.
modernityleave@protonmail.com. And
Beauty.
yeah, thank you guys, and shout out to the White Art Collective and Imperium Art and all of our fellow white positive friends.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks, Nullus, for joining us again. And again, thanks to the audience. You guys have a wonderful day, evening, night. Bye bye.
Much respect.